And what did he say? Well, just go. Forget about me, father. Forget about everything. Just get yourself on the plane and go. Well, that's how it is, Brian. You want to do something, you just do it. Look at the consequences. It's always been the same. He's an nutcase, but he couldn't care less. It was like that when he was at school, when he was a kid. Hey, well, remember the nativity play? Oh, God. Oh, Brian was only about 8 or 9. And the school had given up with him. The teachers just said he was loop the loop, and that was that. But the headmaster was fascinated with our Brian. He was fascinated with him, you know. He said to me, there's no malice in the child. No malice whatsoever, but it would appear that Brian has no concept of consequences whatsoever. I think what we must do with Brian, he said to me, is try and give him more responsibility. That was it, responsibility. So, he said, I've decided to give him the star part in the nativity play this year. Well, when our Brian found out he got the part of James, he was made up with himself. Oh, God love him. He thought he'd been picked because he was great at acting and all. I couldn't say anything because it was working, you see, this psychology. All the time he's rehearsing this nativity play. This behaviour is fantastic. The headmaster's made up with him, the teachers are made up with him, and I made up with him as well, and the dad is too. And he's practising every night in his room. We are weary travellers on our way to Bethlehem, and my wife is having a baby, and we need rest to stay for the night at the inn, or something like that. Well, the day of the show, I got down to the school, and it was lovely, you know. All the little angels come on, and they have a sly little wave to their mouths. Then it was our Brian's entrance. He comes on, and he's pulling this donkey behind him. And perched on top of this donkey is this little angel. I think it was a little angel anyway. Well, it was this little girl, and he's pulling this donkey, and it's like this obby horse on wheels, you'd say. And this little girl, she's taking the part of the Virgin Mary, and she is just beautiful. You know, her mother's really dolled her up to be the part. And, what happened next door? Spaghetti bolognese. Well, she really dolled up to be the part. And she's giving a little wave to her man. So Brian gives the donkey a bit of a tug, because he doesn't think they should be waving to their mams, and he's taking it dead serious, you know. He's miming giving aid to the donkey, and patting on the head, you know, and he's acting like he might win the Oscar. Look at me. Well, the headmaster turned round and smiles at me. I think he was as proud of our Brian as I was. Well, anyway. 1 onion chopped, 1 clove of garlic, optional, margarine or butter. Well, anyway, as Brian gets to the door of the inn, he goes, knock, knock, knock. Oh. And the little innkeeper appears. Our Brian starts, we are weary travellers on our way to Bethlehem, and my wife is having a baby, and we need rest for the night at the inn. So the little fella rather playing the innkeeper pipes up. You cannot stay in the inn because the inn is full and there is no room in the inn. So, Brian's supposed to say something like, well, okay, we'll go and find a lowly cattle shed and stay in there. But he didn't. Just steak and dumplings, no thank you. Well, I don't know if it's a Virgin Mary getting up our Brian's nose. She spent the whole time waving to her mother. Or whether it was the fact that our Brian suddenly realised that the part of Joseph wasn't as big as it had been cracked up to be. But whatever it was, instead of going off pulling the donkey behind him, he suddenly turned to the little innkeeper and yelled at him. Fall up! Fall up! Bleed bits! Well, the little innkeeper didn't know what was happening. He's looking down the hall for someone to rescue him. His bottom lip's beginning to tremble. put the spin into tremble as well. And O'Brien's going, "Oh, I've got the wife outside waiting with the donkey. She's 10 months pregnant. And there's snow everywhere and she's 6 foot slips. 6 foot slips! And you're trying to tell me you're full up." Well, the top brass in the front row are beginning to look a bit uncomfortable. They're beginning to turn and look at each other. Look at the headmaster as well, and O'Brien's giving a perfect imitation of his father on a bad day. He's breaking anything that dares move. The little innkeeper's slips going 10 to the dozen, and the Virgin Mary sends floods of tears on the donkey. Well, the little innkeeper finally grasped the slips well out the window. And he has to do something about O'Brien. So he steps forward and he says, "Listen, mate, listen. You can come in if you want. I was only joking. We have got room, really." And with that, the three of them disappeared into the inn. End of nativity play, and end of O'Brien's acting career. Me and O'Brien. We sometimes have a laugh about it now. At the time, we could have died of shame. It was all over the paper. Mary and Joseph failed to arrive in Bethlehem. I was ashamed. So really, I've never travelled anywhere myself. Must be God punishing me for raising a child who managed to prevent Mary and Joseph getting to Bethlehem. And there was me when I was a girl. The only thing I ever wanted to do was travel. I wanted to be a courier or an aerostess. It was only the clever ones who got to do things like that. When I got my final report from school, the headmasters had written at the bottom of it, "I can confidently predict that Miss Valentine," that was my maiden name, "I can confidently predict that Miss Valentine will not go far in life. I feel this is just as well, given her marks in geography. She would surely get lost," or something like that. She was a mare, that headmistress. She used to come into assembly sometimes and ask like an on-the-spot question. And whoever got it right would get loads of house points. And it was nearly always Marjorie Majors who got it right. She took private elocution lessons. Well, one day, the headmistress come into the hall and we were all standing there in assembly. You know, we just sung the song and all that. And she came in and she said, "A question," to everyone. "A question. What was man's most important invention?" Well, every hand and they all shot up. "Me, miss, I know, miss, me, miss." And my hand was up there with the rest of them. Of course, for once, I knew the answer. Well, this headmistress, she took one look at me and said, "Oh, put your hand down, Shirley. You won't know the answer." She started going round the hall, the grin on her face getting smugger and smugger as she got answers like, "The Sputnik, the cathode ray tube, the automatic washing machine." Even if I for once were getting it wrong, but I kept my arm up there in the air, because I knew I had the right answer. I got it from my dad, and he got it from the Encyclopedia Britannica, didn't he, Will? Oh, you know me, Dad. He was still going on about that Encyclopedia Britannica when he was on his deathbed. How can those kids of mine be so thick? When I bought them the Encyclopedia Britannica. Got a lot of pleasure out of it though. You'd sit there for hours reading it. And they'd try to impress us all with these dead-on facts. And I remember him saying about man's most important invention, because it was so ordinary. So I'm stood there, my arms stuck up in the air, and I'm like the cat with the cream. Because this headmistress, she's done the length and breadth of the hall, and still no one's come up with the answer. Well, I'm the only one left, so she turns to me and she says, "All right then, Shirley, come on. You might as well get it wrong along with everyone else. Do you remember the question, Shirley? What was man's most important invention?" Well, I paused, you know, savouring the moment. Now, and I was on the brink of receiving at least 43,000 house points and a blessing from the Pope.